my name is Carson, and today I'm going to teach you how to make little monsters. I'm going to pick 2 pieces of clay, 2 different colors. I'm going to go ahead and squish them up and make ropes out of them. So we're going to squish, squish, squish. Make a rope. Roll it out with your fingers from the inside out. We're making little snakes. So I have 1. Give it a little squish. Sometimes the clay is a little hard. Go ahead and give it a little wiggle, wiggle. Right? Roll it out. And the reason we're rolling this out is so that we can mix our clays together, 2 different colors. So now black and white together, you may have orange and red, blue and green, any other color. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna pick them up in the middle. We're gonna lay them together like that, so it's doubled over. And then we're gonna twist them like this. So you can hold one end still and twist the other end. And then we're going to fold it in half again, smush it together, and twist it again. All right? And this gets a good mix of colors. We're going to go ahead and roll this up into a ball and smush it together. All right? We're trying not to mix our colors too much, so they don't become all blurred together and make one color. So you're gonna see me do another snake. So we're gonna kind of start it with our hands. We'll do it again. And if I'm going too fast for you, make sure to put your video on pause and you can catch up. So don't get frustrated if you think I'm going too fast. So we're gonna roll this snake out. My colors have started to swirl a little bit. I'm going to take this and fold it in half again and twist it up. Just like that. Fold it and fold it, smush it together. I'm going to make another ball. And I know that seems like a lot of work just to get started, but it's worth it to get your colors kind of swirled. Okay? All right. So now I have this ball of swirl, and if I need any appendages, and appendages are arms, legs, a tail, anything like that, I'm going to need the same color clay to do that. So I'm going to pinch off a little bit so that I have enough clay to use to do that, to make those pieces. So maybe about 1/3 to 1/2, it's fine. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the body of the monster. We're going to take this little ball of clay, and we're going to hold it in one hand, and with the other hand we're going to use our thumb to stick a hole in it, like this. So, kind of squeeze it around our thumb, and we make this little belly button in the clay. And as we do that, we use the rest of our fingers to come around the outside, and we kind of pinch it so it makes a little bowl or cup. So we just kind of work it around so we start to make a cup like this. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So we're going to start to pinch it around. We can use both hands once it gets big enough to pinch it. And we don't want to leave the clay too thick in some spots. And we don't want to get it too thin. Like if our finger starts poking through it, we don't want that. So we're just using our fingers and our thumbs like this and moving around. All right. that side's a little thick. All right. So now I have this kind of floppy little bowl, and I can make it kind of curl over if I want, kind of get it to come over. So right now I'm working on making the mouth out of my body. So we're gonna kind of pinch it like that. I'm gonna take the two corners and I'm gonna pinch them together. Pinch them hard, real hard. And then that opens up. I can smush it back together to make it open. That way, when my monster is standing up, it's got an open mouth right there. All right? So, the next thing we're gonna do is with our other piece of clay that we set aside, we're gonna make some legs. And you can make a tail or arms or anything you want. And maybe I'll leave a little for a tail here. So I'm gonna pinch that off for an arm or a tail. And I'm gonna take the rest of it and pinch it in half to make 2 feet, all right? So, if I need feet, then I also need a little bit of a leg room. So I'm gonna start by kind of pinching it into like a little round spot, like this. So it's kind of a leg that's gonna attach to my body. And then I'm gonna kind of smush it down on the table, and I'm gonna use the table to give me a flat area. We're gonna give him some pointed little toes. Maybe he doesn't have normal feet. That's fine. So got 1 foot. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and pinch it together and roll it around in my hand like this. I'm turning it, turning it, turning it. I got another little leg. I'm gonna put this down on the table. I'm gonna squish it down so that I have a nice little foot. Kind of give it the same shape as the other one. If they're not perfect, it's okay. I'll kind of give him the same height so he's not sitting over sideways or anything. So I've got 2 feet, and I've got enough to make a tail. And if you want to make arms instead, you can crack this in half and make little arms to hang off the side, and that's fine. But I'm a big fan of tails. So we're going to set those aside. I'm going to make a tail. Tails are usually thick at one end and thin at the other. So I'm going to use my hand on one end to roll it down thin like a baseball bat. Alright? Now, the reason I like to put tails on these is because when they're standing up on 2 legs, like this, okay? Sometimes, if your legs are really tall, your object will fall forward or backwards or whichever. So to combat that, I'll turn this sideways for you so you can see. If I put this guy sideways like this and I put a tail on him, if he starts to fall backwards, the tail catches him. So now he's a tripod, and it's a much more stable piece, okay? Now, you're thinking, how do we connect all these, right? Well, you can use your fingernail, or you can use your skewer, and you can make little marks, just like this, in tops of your legs. All right, that's fine. So I've got my 2 legs, my legs on straight like that, and maybe we'll put him out here. Maybe we'll put him like that. All right. So I gotta decide which way is up and which way is down on my mouth. I think I like them like this. So if I set them like this, kind of give them a wide stance. And inside I can put my thumb, just like this, and kind of squish them together. Squish those 2 pieces. And you can use your finger underneath to kind of smush it together. All right? Same thing on this one. I can put my thumb in here, squish that together, or your finger, whichever makes you happy or comfortable. And I'll show you what I'm doing here in just a minute when I get these together. All right. So if I kind of tip them over a little bit, you'll see that I have a line where the legs touch, and I can take either my skewer or my fingernail, and if my hand is in here, I can kind of smear those two together, like that. It's kind of like a smear. You put it on there. All right. So I'll turn this guy around so you can see. I'm kind of doing this, and that helps keep the legs on so they don't fall off. So I'll do the other one real quick. Get your fingers in there. I have great big adult fingers to get in there, but you kids, I'm sure, will get in there pretty easy. Kind of smear those together. Make sure that's all right. He's all together. I'm going to set him up, make sure his legs are up underneath of him, and smush him up so he's got his mouth open. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tail on. And the same thing, kind of get him ready to go on there. And I'm going to put that right there, and so I can put my finger back inside and smush the tail to the back of the body and just kind of smear it on. Just like that. Okay? Alright, so now we've got a tail. Kind of keeps him from falling over. Get his legs up underneath of him. Alright, so now I can move my tail any way I want. Kind of sculpt it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tongue. So if you have a different color, whatever color you want, I'm going to make my tongue green, because I just like green. So I have a couple other colors here to play with. And you can make teeth, tongues, spikes, whatever you want. Alright, so we're going to kind of get this kind of woke up. It's kind of stiff from being in the package. Wake it up here. Give it a couple fold overs. Smush it back together. Alright. The way I like my tongues, some tongues are long and skinny and flat, and some are wide and flat. So I'm going to give myself the use of the table, and I'm just using the heel of my hand to kind of press it out a little bit. Alright. And then I can sculpt it the way I want with my fingers, just like that. Right. Now, tongues usually have like a ridge down the middle. So I can press that in, and you can use a tool or a kitchen knife or a skewer or your fingernail. Doesn't really matter. Kind of put that in there. Clean that up so I don't have a bunch of marks. Clean that fold up over there. Alright, so now I have a tongue. Can I get a skewer? Ha! Thank you. Alright, so here I'm going to use my skewer, and I'm going to make a texture. So I'm going to use the pointed end. Kind of move this guy over a little bit so you can see this. So if I'm going to make taste buds on my tongue, I'm just going to make little dots, just like this, so you can see. Do it a little bit slower, so you can see all that. And having just a little bit of texture kind of makes things fun. Do it over here. can also put texture on your body or on your tail or anywhere else you want it to be. You can put scales on if you wanted to. Go ahead and kind of roll this down a little bit and clean this up. A nice long mark down the middle. So now, just the same way I put on the tail and the feet, I can put my tongue back in the mouth. I kind of need to see what I'm doing a little bit to do that. So if my tongue's hanging out, I gotta decide how I want it to hang out. I want it to hang out straight out the middle, left, right, and then I can push it together. Another good way to do this is to use your skewer again, and you can just kind of push that back down in there and make sure your finger's underneath and in the back so that those kind of push together. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. Kind of smear it back in there. Round him out a little bit. So his tongue's hanging out like that. All right, so we got most of our monster going there. I think I'm gonna make a nice little eyeball. So make sure I take a little piece, maybe smaller than that. I'm gonna roll it up. Maybe I'll make 2 eyeballs. Maybe your monster has 5 eyeballs. Who knows? It's up to you. It's really anything you want it to be. So we're making little balls. This is how we roll a ball in our hands. Kind of round it out. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I think I want to make the inside of my eyeballs pink instead of black, because it's my monster and I can do what I want. And so can you. There's no rules. So make little tiny discs. And I'm gonna put my disc together and just kind of press it in so that I have a nice little eyeball. Put those together. All right. Put that one on there. Give it a nice squish. Got a nice little eyeball. All right. Same thing with putting them together. Do I want it to sit flat? Do I want it to sit forward? It's up to you. It's up to me, actually. If I use my skewer again, I can kind of push those down together. Kind of work it in there. And I'll show you that kind of on the back as we come around. Kind of just kind of squishing them together so that it stays on there. Sorry if my hands are in the way at the moment. It takes a little bit of finessing to see what I'm doing. But you already know how to attach stuff, so at this point you're probably a little further than I am. Alright. That eyeball's cleaned up. It's on there. I'm gonna put my other one on. Kind of give it a little squish with my thumb and my finger. Push those together. I'll go ahead and work this around real quick. You've already seen the first one. I'm going to use the end of my skewer, the flat end. I'm going to make a little hole. So now he's got eyeballs. just like that. Kind of push them together there. Push his feet under him. All right, so next thing I want to do is I want to give them some spikes, because, you know, what fun is it if they don't have spikes or something cool on them? So I'm going to make another little rope. Just roll it in my hands, or you can roll it on the table. It doesn't matter. I don't want to do anything too tiny because then it's harder to hold on to. So I do my spikes, give myself the flat end. You can do that by kind of tapping it down on the table, kind of give it a nice flat bottom, and then kind of roll or pinch with your fingers. Make a little spike, and you can roll it over so your spike's curved, or you can stick straight up, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna put my finger on the inside, give them a little antenna, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did with my eyeballs and kind of smush it back down on there so it can't go anywhere, it doesn't fall off. Alright. Clean that up. Okie dokie. Poke it, poke it. I think he needs a little, just like that. And we're gonna go ahead and roll his eyeballs forward a little bit so you can see where he's going. And just like that, we have a little monster. Pretty cool, right? And we can't wait to see what your monsters look like too. Good luck!